Alright, what's up gamers? It's your boy A-Base coming at you, making a tier list video today, going over all the Predecessor characters. You know, I've played a good amount of Predecessor, and I've also brought along a friend today, the Greek King, who's played probably twice as much as I have, because he's addicted to this game since it came out. But yeah, we're just going to go over a tier list, because it's pretty fun. We're just going to go over a tier list, including all the new characters, Countess, Shinbi, Revenant, you know, this is going to be our overall view of each character's power. And we can do tier lists for each individual lane at a later point if that's what you commenters are interested in. So if you want to see some more videos with respect to each lane and each role, just leave a comment. But anyways, this tier list is just general purpose. So we're just going to go alphabetically, I guess. And then we'll start with Countess. Now, when she first launched, Countess...
When she first launched, she was the strongest character, hands down.
You could 1v5, like an item behind, you could still be 1v5ing. There was a lot of different builds you could go with Countess. There was like that weird health build where you'd go Worldbreaker. You'd build kind of tanky, like a tank mage. And
it worked.
It worked, but it was mostly like a solo lane kind of build. You could also play her in jungle with more of a burst build with Megacosm, Combustion, the boots, Wraith leggings. I mean, there was like that assassin build you could go to, which was really fun. Yeah. And then as you got to the late game with Countess and got all the stacks of her passive, and if you got a life binder late game with all the stacks in her passive, she was just immortal. Like I said, you could 1v5 with her.
Yeah, well, we had to take into account that she has received a considerable amount of nerfs since she launched.
She's been nerfed, what, 3 times since she launched? She's still...
Almost every patch. She's still very strong.
She's still so strong.
She is still very strong because her passive can be built off both regular kills and assists.
Yeah.
And she has a lot of lifesteal. Now, granted, with the meta changes to lifesteal and the item changes, it does play into her a bit. Like any mage, she does fall under the category of if she gets fed enough, she will steamroll.
Right. I mean, like, mid and late game, mostly mid game, she's unstoppable. Late game, ADCs can shut her down.
Depending on how well...
I'm actually going to add a row above this, S+, because when she first came out, she was S+, but now I think she's just S.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'd say she's S. I feel like she's more high A tier, just because... Now there's more like with the if she's even played solo, right?
Yes, I mean she's not the best solo lane anymore.
Yeah, with solo lane, she's not that strong because the right item can shut down her healing in a minute.
Yeah, because if you just built anti-heal first item, her early game is screwed. But she'll still have that late game where she can just one-shot your backline. But anyways, that's Countess.
I have to agree with that because she can climb back from being behind.
Yeah, she has...
Just off her kit alone.
She has very good swing potential. She can swing a game in your favor. Crunch. Boy, did he have a good start.
Oh, my boy Crunch. I loved him. When he started, he was S.
Yeah. Oh, easily
when he started,
like
he
when
was S.
Predecessor first launched, Crunch was ridiculous because his passive would proc on minions. He had way better scaling. He had way better base damage. I mean, you could still do some good things with Crunch because, I mean, he's got good CC.
I find him to be a better jungler now than I find him to be a brawler.
Yeah.
Because you have to be a lot more careful with your engages now. Like, before you could afford to be reckless with Crunch, right?
Because you could just heal your way out of it.
You just heal, yeah. So fighting someone under a minion wave didn't matter. Now you gotta pay attention to that as anyone should.
Yeah.
But with the nerfs he's gotten,
I think he's B or C.
Yeah, I'd almost put him down to B tier.
I mean, like, if we're looking at it in comparison to the rest of the characters, I'd put him in C. Because the rest of the characters have, like, their uses and can actually provide a lot in their respective roles. If you try to put Crunch in the solo lane or off lane, you're going to get destroyed by a good, Richter, a good Grux. They're all going to destroy you. But
My
yeah,
name is Crunch, and I like to
he
punch.
has fallen from grace. He is not the
Unfortunately,
robot he once was, so he's C tier right now. Decker. Decker,
De- Decker.
there's two ways to build. Well, technically, there's three ways you could build Decker. If you're gonna go like offlane Decker, you build auto attack Decker, which I do not recommend. It's garbage tier, but people do it. Um,
It. I can tell you from having to fight it, it is nothing more than a gnat swatting at you. It's really
yeah,
obnoxious, but you're not going to do a whole lot with it.
she's easily ganked if she's in the off lane. Now, as a support, she's amazing.
As a support, her kit is entirely meant to just help.
Yeah, I think as a support, she's third best support, and we'll go over the ones that are above her shortly. There's two that I think are just like the best supports, and then there's two supports that are just like kind of garbage. But she's middle of the pack for supports. You could play her mid. You could do like a mage build, but her scaling kind of sucks.
Yeah,
And
I honestly I feel like she's one of the characters where no matter how much we want, she really only does fit the support role,
right,
despite her kit or like having abilities that would make sense in the mid.
yeah,
Like you have a lockdown ability, you have a slow, you have a stun, like you have all the abilities a regular mage would have,
hmm
but you just don't have the scaling.
I mean, if you're a Decker main and you're hitting every single one of your stun balls, you're S plus. But if you're just like a regular old Decker,
But I say if we have to take into account just the character and their kit and not what we've seen in game.
yeah. So I think
Decker, I think, has a very high skill ceiling, but when you're good with her, she's easily an A tier,
yeah. It
if
depends
not
on who's
S
playing her.
tier, because of her passive,
Her
and
passive
that
is
gives
very
her a lot
nice.
of. Yeah, her passive gives her a lot of escape.
But yeah, that's
Yeah,
Decker. I think she's A. What do you think?
I think A is a good one for the
Because she's
fact that
middle of the pack.
She's not the easiest to learn, but once you're good with her,
Oh
like
yeah.
I've seen good Deckers
If you're
and
hitting every fucking ball, you're up here. You're an S plus. We love you. We love good Deckers. But she's A. Now Drongo. Hot take. I think Drongo, before these recent item changes to ADCs, I don't really know much about the recent item changes with ADCs because I don't play that role. But before the changes, hot take, Drongo was the best ADC.
I don't know if I'd say he was the best.
Just the way you could build him because of his passive, you would just build like pure crit, and his passive would be proccing all the time. If you got like the pen shred item, his passive would proc the pen shred. So he would just be doing true damage to tanks, true damage to junglers, true damage to mid
Oh,
laners.
you're
Like,
wrong. He hurts,
yeah.
but it's
And his
with the rest
ult
of his kit. Like his ults,
makes him so safe.
it's a safe play, yes, but that's about all the usefulness you get out of your ult.
Yeah.
Is like it's more of a safety thing than it would be a damage ult. Um, because of that reason, I wouldn't say that he was one of the best. I would have to give that title to someone like Murdoch or Sparrow, where their ults,
Well, I mean,
like
Murdoch and
their
Sparrow,
ult is really useful for killing. Like Sparrow's ult is literally just useful for shredding.
yeah, but you have to like someone has to be puppy dogging, babysitting Sparrow to make her reliable. Because if the Sparrow's by herself, which I mean a lot of new players go around walking around without their supports, if a Sparrow is in her support's pocket, or if the support's in her pocket, like Sparrow's unstoppable. But I think
Yeah.
as a solo character, I feel like Drongo is I don't know if he is now, but he was like the best ADC in my opinion for just being by yourself. Where he fits in the meta right now, we'll see with the new
Meta
ADC
right
items.
now, I say
Because it feels like Murdoch just hits so hard right now with the new item changes. And Drongo doesn't really have that same punch.
well, with a lot of the item changes, what they did was they worked on lifesteal
Hmm.
and what else? Let me actually pull up these balance
Yeah,
notes.
they added a lot of more on-hit effects, which benefit attack speed characters.
Uh, Range basic attack projectile speed increased from 18,000 to 23,500. What those actually translate to, I don't know. But the range basic attack projectile radius decreased from 35 to
Hmm.
32.
So autos go faster, but don't have as big
Are
of a
slightly
hitbox.
harder to hit.
And
Yes.
people sleep on his boomerang. His boomerang provides a slow and it puts a dot on the enemy. It's It's amazing.
I'd wager his boomerang's good. His gas grenade is very niche, and
It's, his gas grenade's so annoying if you're trying to gank him.
if you're trying to gank him, but it's like if you're the gas grenade is the one where I feel like if you know how to use it, that's what really can
Yeah, I mean,
determine a good Drongo
a,
versus a bad
a
Drongo.
Drongo that knows how to use gas grenade at the right time in a team fight is S plus. I mean, it's
Um,
just like Decker with her stun ball.
yeah, I feel like overall with his ability and his kit, I put him at A. Yeah.
Yeah, he's. We'll have to see how the hunter meta shapes up. Um,
Well, you see, here's the thing. He no longer gets increased ability damage on his critical strike chance.
right. So they kind of nerfed the whole build just crit
Right. His
ideology.
gas grenade now actually deals some damage.
Hmm.
Um, and it now applies his dot.
Yeah, I have to play some more ADC. I can't really like determine where he goes right now with all the changes, so I'd have to play some more ADC to really get an idea for that role. But moving on, we're gonna put him in A for now because he probably belongs there in the middle of the pack. Feng Mao. Now you could play him in jungle, you could play him in off lane, and if you are bold, you can play him in mid. I don't think you'll ever successfully pull it off in mid against a good, competent mid laner. And there's kind of two builds you can go with them.
I think I've seen one person play in a mid and it failed miserably.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
if you're
he's not a
crazy,
mid laner.
you could try it.
Okay, but here's the thing: he ain't a mid laner.
No,
Okay,
he's
we're
not.
gonna crush that out.
He's a
immediately.
jungler or an off laner.
Exactly. He can be built assassin, and he can also be built bruiser.
Yeah.
He cannot go full tank
Nope.
because it just doesn't work with him or his scaling.
He
But
needs
he can do bruiser and he can do assassin.
his
Build.
assassin build. I think gets underrated.
Yeah,
Because
he hasn't really been nerfed or anything.
no, he's been buffed. Honestly, like that first
If
buff he got that made his shield reset auto attacks. Like he has an instant
like
auto
that,
attack
but that's
reset.
about it. Other than that, he's just had like a quality of life change.
Yeah.
Too, right.
I
He
think they
hasn't
got.
really had anything done to him.
Didn't they extend his slow duration too on his spin?
I hope so.
I think they increased the duration on it because it was brought in line with Rampage's Rumble to make the slows kind of the same duration.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're playing him in the jungle, he's got good engage. He's got his execute, which takes out high health targets, which is very useful in team fights. I think he's a good team fighter. And he also has really good gank potential because of his slow and because of his blink. So if you're playing him in jungle, I don't think he's the best jungler.
He's a solid choice overall. He can solo fight as well as provided some team fight assistance with his slow. Jungle, I find
He's kind of
that he
outclassed
has
by
good-
two other junglers.
yeah, jungle he's good, but there are other junglers that are simply just do the jungle role better, such
Yeah,
as like Kalari and Chimera.
Yeah, they clear faster. They have better gank potential. Now
But
the
solo lane,
hey,
and
don't be
solo
throwing
lane,
names
see, the
out there.
problem- Solo lane, I feel like his problem is he doesn't hold the tankiness most of the other solo laners do. So you got to play a bit more strategically.
Yeah,
I feel like because he doesn't really he doesn't excel in the two roles he has. While not
he's
being
A.
terrible.
Yeah,
I'd say B.
B. Okay.
I'd say B because like
He does. Yeah, like you said, he
it's
doesn't
hard to
really have
gauge-
a specific niche that he fills. He kind of
Yeah,
he's like an all around character.
he can do either or, but he doesn't do both exceptionally well. But
No.
also, I don't see him that much in games.
Yeah.
Just like seeing a Fang Mao is rare.
Yeah.
So it's hard to gauge because there's not a lot of Fang Mao players, and usually when I do see a Fang Mao player,
They don't do too well.
no, actually they do very well because
Oh.
that's the only character they're playing.
Oh, it's the Feng Mao mains. Gotcha. I mean, it's the same thing we
Yeah.
talked about with these two characters. Like, if you main the character, they move
Yeah.
up in the tier list.
But I've seen plenty of Fang Maos just do horrid, especially in the early days of Predecessor.
Yeah. I mean,
Going up against
you've played a lot more Predecessor than I, so I'll take that B judgment from you. The Fae. Now, she did recently get a buff, I believe.
Let me check.
She got a nerf like 2 patches ago, and then I think she recently got a buff. They
She wasn't touched in the most recent balance
Yeah,
patch.
they nerfed her ult. They reduced the range or the lock on time or something like that because her ult was
They worked
ridiculous.
on it. They I think they decreased the range that you need to get out of her ult
Yeah, so it doesn't
before
like
it pulls you in.
cover the entire Fangtooth pit anymore. It was ridiculous when it was first launched. Her ult was ridiculous. Granted, the rest of her kit is kind of trash. Her ult is so good in a team fight. Like, if you're gonna bring the Fae just for her ult and you build pure ability haste and like Astral Catalyst or whatever, then she's gonna be providing a lot to you in the mid, late, and late game. She can
I feel
close a
like
game out.
Faye has to be B or C
Yeah, I mean, early game
because
for sure she's B or C.
she lacks mobility. Right. She lacks mobility. She has her slow.
Yeah,
Um,
she's an ult bot.
she has decent damage. She's really good with damage.
Yeah, she's just an ult bot. That's how I see her. She's just an ult bot. You bring her specific niche cases. You bring a Fae. So I'm gonna put her in B
Yeah.
because she's not as bad as Crunch. Crunch is like
Well,
easily
now the people
not
who
as
play
good.
Crunch, you gotta be good with Crunch to have a fun game.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just not gonna
You
have a
have
fun
to work
time.
his passive perfectly to get any use out of him.
Yeah.
Now Gadget. Gadget does so much damage. Has good escape, has good utility, speeds up your allies, roots the enemies, puts hats on people. Her ult shreds defense. I mean, you really just cannot complain about this as a mid laner.
In terms of mid laners, I'd say Gadget's definitely up
I think she's
in
one of the
the
best.
SA. Um, she's solid with her damage, her kit just gives her a lot of clear potential.
Yeah.
So
And
as long as you play her mid lane. Now, granted, you can play Gadget support. I've seen it done before.
yeah, it's toxic. It can work.
It can work because she does have a slow and
Yeah.
a stun
It's
that she
just
can
you
throw
have to
out.
get some mana regen items because her mana efficiency early
Yeah,
game is so bad.
yeah. Mana efficiency ain't the best, but that's every mage with
Yeah.
their mana early game. That's why the river buffs are there.
Once you get Megacosm and like Azure Core on Gadget,
You're pretty
she's
set.
she's unstoppable. Even if you also build Wraith Leggings after those 2 items, you're gonna be zooming around, you're gonna be slowing people, you're gonna have a bunch of flat pen, and Megacosm is just melting people because of how it interacts with her abilities. She does so much damage. Like, as soon as you get Megacosm, the game's over. Like, that's how she feels. Once she gets Megacosm, she's unstoppable. But yeah, I think she's an S tier mid. Now Gideon. Gideon,
Put him in A tier.
he's like your middle of the pack mage, honestly.
He's really strong. His abilities hit really hard. He's got a great escape ability, and which also doubles his great mobility.
Yeah, and your teammates can use it too to get out. If it
Exactly.
Fun fact for those that don't know, if you walk up to Gideon's portal and just press your spacebar while you're near it, if you jump into it, you'll go through it. Like, that's for both
That's
teams.
how you go through his portal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's allies and
And it
enemies.
slows enemies that go through it.
Yeah. So
it's not like they keep chasing even if they do jump through.
yeah, I mean, he's really fun to play because you can like use his teleport to go over the wall and try to steal Fangtooths or try to steal orbs or just like jump above people's heads to ult and they don't see you up there, so they don't think to stun you, and you're just damaging the whole enemy team. He's a fun character. I don't think he provides as much utility or as much damage as the 2 mages up
His
here.
ult's very tricky to use because you have to make sure you use it right. If you use it wrong, you'll get targeted and die, and you won't provide any use.
And everyone's going to be watching for his ult. So everyone's just got to have their head on a swivel like, uh-oh, watch out for Gideon's ult in this team fight.
Yeah, so getting a good ult with Gideon's tricky. And because he only has really 2 damaging abilities outside of his ultimate, that's why I'm saying he's A tier. Just
yeah,
he provides safety for newer players and a lot of high skill plays for veterans.
Yeah, he's a fun character.
He doesn't have it all built into his kit.
He's not as bursty as Countess, and he doesn't have as much sustained damage as Gadget. So it's like he doesn't provide that level of damage
With
that
him,
you want from your
just
mages.
have to build like tank Gideon's an actual build.
Yeah, They tried to nerf it last patch, but I think it's still around.
They've tried to nerf it multiple
It
times.
still works because the flat damage on his ult is so high. But
Well,
anyways,
they nerfed that as well.
he's just the middle of the pack mage. He's fun. He's good. Play him. But
Yeah, they
Grux.
nerfed his ult damage, but they increased his ult scaling damage for Gideon.
Yeah. Gruxy boy, the face of the game. His horn is literally the logo. At least it was for Paragon. Mr. Grux. You can play him jungle. You can play him solo. I've seen people try him to play him in ADC.
I've seen people go with an ADC build in the solo lane,
Yeah.
which usually works.
He's
Grux.
He's
my
really good.
He's very strong, but
he doesn't
he
really
can be
get
shut
countered by
down.
much.
he gets countered by being outplayed.
Yeah. I mean, he
And
gets countered by
by-
falling behind. It's so
He can
hard to
get
come back.
countered- Yeah. If he's behind, that's where he fails. But if he gets ahead, Grux
Yeah.
is a
He's a
freaking
steamroller.
powerhouse. I'd say, as much as I love him, I have to say A, just because if he does fall behind,
You're kind of
can't
done.
really, yeah, you don't provide anything.
Yeah. I mean, you've got the
You need
CC combo.
E, and that's about it.
Yeah, but if you're falling behind, you try to pull that CC combo off, you're gonna die half a second after you pull it off. Like your whole job, if you're behind, is to just be a CC bot for about 2 seconds, and then you get killed.
Yeah.
Now, if you're ahead,
Unfortunately, I've had the games where, I've been behind, and the only thing you can do is provide CC so your team can get the kill.
yeah,
But if you're ahead, you're the one initiating the
Oh, yeah.
fights, and usually the last one standing too.
oh yeah, if you're ahead,
Brutal Axe
you can
and your
1v5.
ult, you are ungodly strong.
oh yeah. So yeah, it depends on the player. Depends on
Depends on the player, depends on the matchup, depends on
he's a good character.
the key factors, whether or not there's how well the early game goes for
Yeah,
Grux.
he's not as good as some of the other characters we'll go over. Speaking of,
Okay.
Howitzer, I think he started off as being absolutely ridiculously overpowered. But I think they tamed him down by nerfing some of the items that he used to build and nerfing some of the scaling on his abilities. Granted, he's still super annoying because of that knockback grenade and his slow field. Like, he's a very annoying character. A master Howitzer, you will never kill. You will never be able to successfully gank a good Howitzer. But, like, average Howitzers, if they don't know how to use their knockback, their only
His
escape
ult's
is their
great.
ult.
Yeah, his ult's a great escape,
You can kind of just wait it out. But
but it's a lot of damage.
I still think he's a very good mid laner. People play him in ADC too. He's really good at ADC. For some ungodly reason, he can like out trade actual ADCs with just his autos. It's kind of ridiculous. So I think he's definitely better than Gideon. I just wouldn't say he's as good as these two mages up here in the mid role.
Yeah,
So
I agree with that.
we'll put him like top of A.
I'll be right back. I'll drink.
Okay.
Continue on because we're going on to Kalari, and
Yeah.
you're a jungler.
Oh yeah.
So this is your area of
My
expertise.
expertise is the jungling characters. Kalari. Oh, how have the mighty fallen. She was so good when Predecessor first dropped because Malady, some of the flat pin items you could build for like dirt cheap, just allowed her to snowball to an extreme degree. But I think it was 2 patches ago, I think when they added Revenant or when they added Shinbi, one of those 2 patches, they nerfed her base scaling. They nerfed her base power. they nerfed Malady, which is like her first core item. If you're not building Malady on Kalari, you're not playing Kalari correctly. And so not only did they nerf the character, they nerfed her core item set. So she went from S+ to being just like B. She can't one shot as good as she used to. Her cooldowns are longer now. I mean, she's super annoying because she can just invisibility everywhere. But against competent enemy players, they're going to wait for you to come out of stealth and just CC you to death. Because she has like no health.
Not
She's
cool at
so
all.
squishy. She doesn't provide any CC. Of course, she can just like she used to be able to one shot people's backlines, but she can't do that anymore because they nerfed her to the ground. Like I said earlier, they nerfed her and her base items. So she's fallen from S plus to B. She just
I'd almost say it's C.
she's outperformed by almost every other jungler. So B or C. I don't think she's as bad as Crunch, but she's definitely not as good as she used to be.
I think she's ahead of Crunch, but I think she's still in C.
Yeah, C, but ahead of Crunch. I mean, if you're good with Glory and you play her like the invisible assassin she's supposed to be, and just annoy the other team and just be that sneaky little ghost that's around every corner, you can make her work. But she's not going to snowball like she used to. She's not going to one shot like she used to. So she's kind of got no utility anymore. Now Chimera.
Chimera is the safest early game of all the junglers.
This is the simplest jungler to play. If you are just starting Predecessor and you want to play jungle, play Chimera. I mean, I can't say anything else.
Honestly, yeah, he's
his like
entire kit is meant for jungling.
He's the face of jungling.
Safest player.
he's the face of Predecessor jungling.
He really is.
Now, I personally don't play him a lot because I find him boring, but
he is arguably the best jungler.
Yeah. If you get ahead with Chimera, oh my goodness. There is no stopping a Chimera that's been fed and is snowballing. Because he's an all-in character. He doesn't have an escape. He's all in. If he jumps in on you, he's got no way getting back out. He is in. Now, granted, he'll one-shot you while he's in. And then
that's usually scary when he is jumping in on you.
He can solo objectives because of his insane passive. He can solo Fangtooth as soon as it spawns, and you can't do anything about it, because if you try to kill him while he's doing it, he's got his passive at full stacks, and he'll just whack you to death if he's got red buff. So, I don't know if he's S, but he's definitely one of the better junglers. I don't
want to say S is because he doesn't have any way to come back if he falls behind.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if he's behind,
at least with the other two S characters, they can come back from behind and still provide utility to the team, and that really is what I feel like determines an S level character.
True.
Is being able to come back from behind and still be a useful asset to the team.
Yeah.
So I would say he's top 8 tier.
I definitely say he's better than Decker. I wouldn't say he's as good as Howitzer though.
Yeah, I can see that. But definitely high A tier because of if he falls behind, you're fucked.
Yeah.
But if you manage to get ahead,
then
you can have
game over.
You can just steal everything.
Game over. Bellica. She started off not being very good.
Yeah, she started off really low. She's doing a lot better now.
Yeah.
With the item changes.
She started off like C or B. But with the item changes and the buff to her knock-up ability, they made it like instantly go off. Even if you stun Bellica during her cast, it's still going to go off. That thing's just ridiculous. You try to gank Bellica, you're going to take half your health from her knock-up bomb combo, and then she can just finish you off with her ult. So she's really strong. She's kind of like the Fae where she doesn't have an escape, but I think she also provides more to a team fight, like over the total duration of a team fight than the Fae. Because, like I said earlier, Faye is just the old bot.
Between her knock-up and her drone, she can provide a lot to the team fight.
Oh, yeah. And you can play her support, too, which is crazy.
You can. So she does fill multiple roles. I'd say...
I think she's competing for S in my book. With how the items are right now, and how easily she can land her stun, her little knock-up thing. I have seen
more Bellicas come up lately.
Yeah, they can carry games. Bellicas carry games. I think she's S.
Yeah, good Bellicas definitely can carry a game, but then again, a good character can carry a game.
Yeah, you just got to be very careful.
Any of these characters, if they get fed, kind of just do way too much.
I think that's an issue with items.
Bellica, though, well, yeah. Well,
it's just she's a very positional heavy mage because she can't get out if she gets caught somewhere.
Yeah, she's hard to learn, definitely.
Yeah, but I think as a character, she's S. Her scaling is insane. She does a ton of damage, provides CC in team fights, and can just ult someone for like 1,000 damage. It's insane.
Yeah.
Murdoch.
Murdoch.
I really don't know where to put the ADCs. I haven't played enough ADC to really know. I mean, right now, he feels like he's better than Drongo. But that could just be because people are still getting used to the ADC items.
Yeah.
I don't know. They feel like similar kits too because Murdoch's shotgun can knock people back. It's kind of like
Murdoch
Drongo's
shotgun can
ult.
knock people back, but his ult's more useful for getting off or picking off kills.
Yeah.
He does have a heal, which Strongo does not have, which
Hmm.
also gives him a movement speed buff, making it harder to hit him.
Yeah, and his
And
little
he has his
traps too.
traps, which do a surprising amount of
Yeah.
damage.
Oh, boy, the combos you can get with like a steel Murdoch or a Decker Murdoch, if they land their
Or
stun,
Richter Murdoch.
it gives it just enough time for the trap to arm. So not only did you get stunned, you also are standing in a trap for like a second and a half, letting him get free autos on you. So I think he's probably a little better than Drongo.
Yeah.
Muriel.
Muriel.
Okay, moving on.
Nah. So Muriel, a good Muriel, you will not kill the enemy team. They will always have shields. A bad Muriel, and she'll be the first one dead every single time. So I think because of how like her kit's good, there's nothing wrong with her kit, but it's a matter of people playing how people play her,
Hmm.
and a matter of if you know what you're doing with Muriel and you're staying back, providing defenses for your team while also trying to get out a little bit of damage, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be the front line that support can fill, you're not going to do well.
I mean, if your solo laner is playing Richter and your jungler is playing like a tank Grux or something, then you can get away with it. But most of the time, you want your support to be able to tank a few hits for you and actually engage the fights. She can't engage.
Yeah,
She has no hard
yeah.
CC.
She has to play behind
She has to let her
their
team
ADC.
play for her, essentially. So I just don't think she's very good in
I'd
the
say B
support role.
tier.
She doesn't really have a
She can be
strength.
she can be good support. That's the thing. Like she can be a really good support. She has a slow. She has damage. She can give a shield and a movement speed buff,
Her
and
ult's
she can
awesome.
immediately be, yeah, she can immediately go and help anyone on the team when they need help
Yeah.
with her ult.
But her
She
ult
has a
relies
good
on
kit.
having a tanky person on your team. Her ult can be used to help another tanky person engage, or to help your solo laner across the map if they're
I
trying to
feel
run
like her
away.
downfall is the fact that she is not as tanky.
Yeah, if she was tankier, she'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Like if she had some way of mitigating damage on herself passively, I think she'd be awesome. But she's
Without
just
having to constantly give herself her own shields
like
that
she's
she
just
needs to
as
give her
squishy as
teammates.
Kalari. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to
So I'd say
Narbash.
B. Hmm.
Just kidding.
Narbash.
He used to be D, but they buffed him a few times. If you are playing Narbash, I feel like you're kind of trolling your team.
Narbash is helpful, but
He,
a
he's
helpful Narbash
he's better
is.
than Muriel. I'll give him that. He's better than Muriel. I just feel like
I would argue the opposite. I would argue Muriel provides more than Narbash. Because think about it. Here's what Narbash has. He has a stun. Okay. He has an AoE heal. Okay. That doesn't heal. Well, it heals, but it's very slow healing.
mhm.
Like, definitely helpful more early game. But also early game, you can't keep it up for as long because it drains your mana. He has a speed increase,
Yeah.
and he has a knock up with his ult.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I mean,
That's what he has.
he enables
Right?
your
There are
team.
characters who have knockups that aren't even on their ult.
Yeah. He's a team enabler. So I guess in that sense, he's decent.
I say C. I just feel like
There's
everyone has stuff that does better than Narbash.
all of the other supports have better things to offer.
Oh,
um,
I was putting Narbash bottom C.
I think he's better than Kalari and Crunch.
I don't see him being better than Kalari or Crunch. He's not played a whole lot anymore because he's the most passive support there is.
Yeah. And
Like
he's got
the
his
only thing
stun.
you do
That's
as
it.
Narbash is you get in their face and you just tank attacks.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't do that.
All right, we'll leave him in C land.
For now.
Rampage, my boy.
Rampage is very strong. I've seen people try to play Rampage solo. will go ahead and tell you now
Don't do
that
that.
does not work.
Don't do it.
It does not work. It will not work out in your favor.
Nope.
You do not get his passive unless you're ulting. And if you're fighting any competent solo laner, you will get completely stomped on.
Yeah. I don't think he's S
Don't play
plus.
him solo.
He's definitely S though.
No, his passive's stupid.
Here's how to play Rampage. Throw your boulder. That's it. That's all you gotta do.
Throw boulders.
There's two builds you can go. There's the tanky build where you have like the blossom, the fire blossom, and like the AoE, the overlord, that kind of thing, like health and area damage passively with a bunch of defense. There's like the frontliner Rampage, but there's also the ability haste Rampage, which I think is more fun and provides more to the team because you throw more rocks. The more rocks you can throw in a team fight, the better. Like he's so fun. I've hit rocks from in the jungle. I was like at red buff, throwing rocks randomly, trying to hit the mid lane, and they land, and the mid laner can get a kill. It feels so good to play Rampage. Like, he doesn't have the most damage, but he's got a rock, and that's all you need. You just need his rock. So I think he definitely
I'd
belongs
say
up in S
because
tier.
of the safeness of his ult and his
Yeah.
passive.
I mean, his ult gets
He
him killed
definitely his
because his
ult
hitbox
is-
gets huge, and he just gets shredded by ADCs. So if you're fighting an ADC, I don't recommend using your ult because you're just an easier target to hit. But just throw
Unless
rocks.
you're picking that ADC off by themselves.
Yeah, just throw rocks. You can throw rocks across the map. They're insane. It's fun. Play Rampage. He's S. Richter, S plus, best character in the game, easily. Easily
Honestly,
has the most utility. Has a ton of
Yes.
damage. Provides insane team fight potential. Displaces your
He-
enemies, silences your enemies, stuns your enemies, slows your enemies, does area damage, has a ton of tankiness, a ton of health. What does this character not have?
Ranged auto attacks.
He doesn't need them. He can just throw his chain at you and get you into melee.
Yeah, I'd say given his kit, excuse me. Given his kit, he's overall one of the best characters in the game.
He can work in 3 roles.
Albeit he does require. No. He can do 2 roles.
No, he can jungle too.
I haven't seen it work.
I'll prove it to you later.
All right.
He does insane damage.
He does. He has a lot of damage. He can solo and be like the best, not the best solo laner, because like he loses to Grux.
Yeah. Well,
Just-
once you get Fire Blossom online,
Well, it depends on the build. It depends on the play. It depends on everything. Because like the game we played before doing this, I destroyed a Richter solo lane.
yeah. Well, I don't think
Like
he
he
was like
wasn't
the best
allowed
player.
to play the game. That's the thing.
And Grux is your main. So, I mean, we can't really take that into consideration. But he plays 3 roles extremely well. If you want to win games...
2 roles extremely well. 1
Okay,
role,
yeah, 2
questionable.
roles extremely well. 1 role, I'll prove to you later. But if you want to win
Questionable.
games, play Richter support, play Richter offlane. That's all we got to say. Sevarog, again, how the mighty have fallen. His original, kit back in
He
Paragon,
still has his original kit. Well, okay.
they capped
he
his
doesn't-
defense and they capped his health stacks. So it's like he's
Well,
kind
no.
of
So what they did was they changed his passive so that it was only ability kills and not just CS.
yeah, kills in general.
Yeah. So before, when his passive stacked off CS, yeah, he was mighty.
Yeah,
But now it just like he hasn't changed much since he's come out.
Yeah.
They've touched him a few times.
I think if they buffed
actually.
a little bit of his scaling and they reduced the cooldown on his dash, I think he would be a very good character. He might even be oppressive. But as he stands right now, he's like he's better than Crunch and Kalari. He's better than Muriel.
He
better than
beats Feng
Faye.
Mao.
Does he beat Feng Mao?
He does beat Feng Mao. He provides more for a team fight than Feng Mao can because he can root enemies.
The root, the displace. He's generally
And he-
pretty tanky.
Yeah. He is usually very tanky. He has a heal on his first ability. The trickiest part about him is building up your passive stacks.
Yeah.
Because they need to be ability kills.
Yeah, if you're losing lane and you're letting waves
But
crush under
if
tower,
you're playing Sevarog and you're not spamming your Q,
hmm
your siphon ability, every time it is up to get a minion kill or to heal, you're not playing him right. Because it's only like 25 mana. It is not expensive to cast that ability at all.
he needs, I think, just some small buffs would shoot him up to like A or S But
I would love to see his passive
oh
require
yeah,
less stacks because it does take a long time to get those stacks.
yeah. Or also making jungle minions count for more, like a buff camp count for like 5 stacks instead of the one. I think it only
Yeah,
counts
to
for one right
have
now.
like, well, so here's how it is because the CES count and your passive count are two different
Yeah,
counts,
because
right? With
the buff
Sevarog.
camps count as 4 CS, I believe.
Yeah, the Cyan buff is 4 CS, but if you kill the Cyan buff with your
You
ability
get
with
one
Sevarog,
stack.
it is only one stack
Yeah,
because it's per kill. Now, what I would like to see if you get a kill with on a player, you get
you
stacks.
do get you get 5 if you kill a player with your siphon. You get 5 stacks.
Ah,
Yeah, but it has to be
I don't play Sevarog
the
that
final
much. I
hit.
feel stupid now.
Yeah, but as he stands right
Because
now,
I
he's
also
not
I'm
very
not
good
very good with Sevarog.
because he's not the best. We'll
Like
just
every
say
time I
that.
played him, I usually end up having to fight like a Cruncher or Grok.
Yeah,
And just in terms of straight up damage dealing, Sevarog excels over a longer fight, which can be beneficial in sometimes, but that's not usually how
the
the
meta
fights
is
go in
very
solo.
bursty right now, so
Yeah.
he's not in the meta. I'd love to see a Sevrog meta because he's a fun character. He's a cool character. Looks awesome.
Oh yeah. I would love to see Sevarog get some more
Yeah.
love.
Sparrow.
Sparrow,
She's
Sparrow, Sparrow.
with a support in her pocket. She's a Richter and Sparrow together. Dear God.
Honestly one of the best combos.
But
Well,
if
Victor with any ADC.
I mean just Sparrow in general. If she's got a support with her at all times, which half the time they do because they're queuing together, then it's hard to kill a Sparrow if she's got a competent support with her. But I think for the purposes of this tier list, we're just going to look at her in a vacuum. I don't think she's as good as Murdoch in a vacuum. She doesn't have the same level of escape, the same level of CC and displacement that Murdoch has. Granted,
The
her
most she has is
autos,
a slow, but she does put out a lot of
yeah,
damage.
her ult
And
puts out a ton of damage.
all like her entire thing is attack speed. That's all she
Yeah.
does.
If you're playing her,
So
build pure attack speed items, build on hit items. Murdoch and Drongo, you can kind of build crit, you can kind of build attack speed. Use like hybrids, but Sparrow's very attack speed oriented.
yeah,
Steel,
attack speed power.
boy oh boy, Steel used to be S plus.
He used to be, and then they nerfed him, and that nerf sent him down, way down.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't even see a steal in games really anymore.
I don't know.
And
I think
when I do, they do not have a good game. Steel,
he's
unfortunately, has been demolished and isn't a part of the meta anymore.
he's been nerfed to the ground. I'll give you that. But I think he's definitely better than all of these other characters that are down here. Purely because he's got
Overall,
3 CC
because of his
abilities.
kit, yeah, like overall with his kit, yeah, I can see that.
He's got an amazing kit.
But currently with the itemizations and this meta, he's not a part of it.
No, he's got an amazing kit and a very long CC combo. But the CC combo isn't as good or as long as Richter's. So if you're deciding between Steel or Richter, play Richter 100% of the time. Revenant,
And Revenant,
he's weird.
I would put
I
I
don't.
would put him higher A tier because Revenant opens up more possibility for the ADCs. Because it allows him to go a magical damage build.
Yeah,
But he's also weird because you don't actually have to worry about attack speed. So you can build crit, you can build power, you can build magical damage, and that will all work with Revenant. So it does give Revenant more
yeah.
flexibility. So I feel like he can be
He's got a
going
lot
the
of
higher A
flexibility.
tier.
His Scar, what are the magic missile combo? That slow is insane.
Yeah.
His autos hit super hard if you build crit. Um, I just don't think he's as good as the other ADCs
Here's
to
the thing.
do the
Here's the thing.
job of an ADC.
I have to say he is because I have had games where I've been where my KD is Revenant. Even though I've been behind, my build came online and I was still destroying
True, he
people.
can come back. Revenant can come
Yeah,
back.
the comeback potential is true with Revenant because of the damage he does. I don't feel like his comeback potential is that true to put him in S though.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying high A,
The
probably
only
above
thing I
Howard's.
don't like about this character is his ult. I mean, it helps for like 1v1 situations, but in team fights more often than not, your
Gets them
Revenant
killed.
is going to ult somebody, either getting himself killed or letting that person get out of the team fight for free. So if you're playing
Yeah.
Revenant and you ult a low health target when your jungler is like right next to them, or your mid is going to hit them with an ability, if you're ulting them into a different plane of existence, the rest of your team can't hit them.
Yeah,
so if you're not cleaning up
because his
that kill,
ult can be very tricky to use.
yeah, if you're not getting that kill after you ult somebody, then you're just stop playing Revenant. Like his ult is the least favorite thing of mine about his kit, but the rest of his kit's really cool.
Oh, that's why I'm saying he's not S, maybe A tier, because his ult can so easily just let someone get away.
Yeah. Oh, Shinbi, my favorite character. I was waiting so long for this character to be added. Shinbi is the game, in my opinion.
Currently, with the meta and current items and everything, just current spot she's in, she is currently one of the strongest characters.
Yeah, if you play her in the jungler. If you play her in the jungle or in the solo lane, she's S+. I'm not too sure how good she is in mid lane, because some of the other mid lanes have more poke and better clear.
She can be good in solo if you're playing smart and keeping your distance,
Yeah.
and only engaging when you have your shield.
Yeah, if she's fighting a Grux, though, like, she's probably going to get clapped.
Yeah.
But most of the other solo laners...
Shinbi is like Countess, an assassin mage.
Oh yeah, Countess can murder Shinbi in solo lane.
Yeah, Shinbi gets countered by Countess, by Grux, by... I haven't played Fang Mao against her, but a lot, like Richter also, like any of the tanky solo laners who can fight Countess can also fight Shinbi.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes her not such a great solo laner.
Yeah, she's not the best solo laner.
But
she's up there.
Her mobility is great in the jungle.
Her in the jungle, she's S+. Just in the jungle. In other lanes, not so much. But as a jungler, she's amazing. She's got awesome clear. As soon as you get Megacosm online, you can just clear instantly. You can clear camps instantly because of Megacosm's passive. You have a bunch of objective damage because Megacosm also impacts Orb and Fangtooth percentage-based damage. So your abilities are doing, 4% of the objective's total health over the duration. So she's got insane damage because of Megacosm. Now, if they ever nerf Megacosm, she's probably down here. But, I mean, that's a little bit of an exaggeration.
She's currently up the top.
As a jungler, she's S+.
If there was anyone I'd say, it would be... I like how we said we weren't going to take in items, but going off the current meta... That's what I
yeah, if Megacosm gets nerfed, three, maybe 4 characters just immediately go down. Faye goes down immediately. Gadget goes down to like B or C.
It is a lot based off like the items they have.
Yeah.
Overall kit usage, I would say Shinbi is just an S because she has a poke, she has 2 dashes.
Yeah, she's got no CC.
She has a shield. You literally cannot miss her ult.
I mean, you can use it on the wrong person accidentally.
Use it on the wrong person, but like the only other way to miss it is you just don't time it right.
Yeah.
And you activate it after the stacks run out. But if you're in a 1v1 scenario and you just finish hitting someone and they're low health...
Oh, she can 1v1 anybody. She wins any 1v1 fight, except for maybe Countess.
Countess does beat her in a 1v1 because Countess is just... That's what Countess is meant to do.
Yeah, she's got like
Countess
still for
is meant
days.
to take down squishy characters. So.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Are you happy with this tier list? Richter definitely belongs up here. These 3 definitely belong down here.
The only one I would say go down to D would be Steel because he's...
I don't know if he's D tier.
I don't see Steel played in any games since
that's
he got nerfed.
I think you don't see a lot of Steel because Richter is so strong, and they provide almost the same thing in team fights. I think if Richter wasn't...
If anything, Richter provides it better because he can displace the enemy team
without
displacing himself.
That's why Richter's played more. Now, I think if Richter was not as strong as he is, I think you'd see more Steel. But with how strong Richter is, it's just like, why would you play another support? Why would you even consider playing another support? If you guys want to see tier lists for each individual role, because it is a little bit different than this just overall tier list, like jungler tier list would look a little bit differently than this, just leave in the comments, like the video. Thanks for watching. I know this tier list took a little while for us to go over all the characters. and it's only going to get worse as more characters come out. So I guess we could try to be more concise in future tier lists and not have as much conversation, but kind of getting our thoughts out on all the characters is helpful for newer players so they can understand why these characters are in the spots that they are. But again, thanks for watching. Any final words, Greek King?
Like, comment, subscribe.
Nice one.
You move like a jaguar. Oh.